Back to today's language news. So despite what many Americans think, that the US does not have an official language, which means sadly, English is not the official language of the US. What are your thoughts on this, Justin?
It's quite surprising since English is spoken throughout the States and is understood by many. But it is understandable considering there are other smaller languages besides English, and it's only one of the two major languages spoken in the United States.
In this chapter, we'll go over chapter 5 and the key concepts related to different languages spoken all around the world. Let me out of this help.
Hey, now let's move on to our next topic. Where are languages distributed? There are 6,909 languages in the world. But what is a language? A language is a system of communication with sounds that people who speak the language understand with the same meaning. All of the world's languages can be classified into language families, language branches, and language groups. A language family is a collection of connected languages whose common ancestor existed before recorded history. A language branch is a collection of connected languages who are in a family and whose common ancestor existed several thousand years ago. And a language group is a collection of connected languages inside of a branch whose common ancestor existed quite recently, and the languages in a language group tend to be a bit more similar.
Going off what Justin had just explained, I'll be giving some examples of the language families, branches, and groups. So, let's talk about English. English is the most spoken language group, keep that in mind, group, from the West Germanic branch. This branch actually comes from the main Germanic branch, just Germanic branch, and that Germanic branch comes from one of the biggest language families, which is named Indo-European.
To move on from what was previously said, many of the world's languages came from the largest branch family there is, the Indo-European family. The Indo-European family included languages such as English, Spanish, Portuguese, Hindi, and German, which are widely spoken across the globe. Two of the biggest world language families are Sino-Tibetan and the Indo-European family.
If you're able to understand that skit, then that shows how similar some words in English and German are. And while some words are similar, there are many words that are different, and we are going to explain why.
First things first, we have to go over the distribution of Indo-European branches. It's one of the largest language families. Also, a lot of the languages that we know have originated from this family. The Indo-European family has many branches. Four of the biggest ones are the Germanic, Indo-Iranian, Baltic, Slavic, and Romance branch. The Germanic branch has English, German, Dutch, Flemish, and Afrikaans. Also, there is Swedish, Danish, Norwegian, and Icelandic, which are one of the North branch. The fact explains why the language structure is similar with the English and German.
Let's talk about the Indo-Iranian branch for a second. This branch has the most speakers from the Indo-Iranian family. This branch has more than 100 languages and is divided into the Indic and Iranian branches. The Indic branch has many languages, with Hindi and Bengali as just a few of them, but those are the larger ones. While the Iranian branches also have quite a few languages, but some of the largest ones are Kurdish, Persian, and Tajik.
The last main branch of the Indo-European family is called the Romance branch. The most widely used of languages are Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Italian. Spanish, of course, spoken in Spain, Portuguese spoken in Portugal, French in France, and Italian in Italy. There are also 3 official Romance languages, and they are Romanian, Romansh, and Catalan. Catalia!
So basically, the whole skit was about how the Celts came and distributed their language across the British Isles. Then, soon after, the Germans. However, the Germans came in separate groups. The Jutes, Angles, and Saxons were all from somewhere in Germany, but decided to come and join the party and invaded British Isles, where the Celts were. Then we just have the Normans, who spoke French, decided to join the invasion, and their language mixed in with the others and already there. Then, boom, just add a little bit of Latin, and then you have a mess called English. The English folk of Britain came to North America and spread their language, and then 17th century, they also took France, Ireland, South Asia, and the South Pacific.
Hi, Miss Tessmacher. Yeah, and don't forget to clean Emma's clothes when she gets home. Yeah, and don't forget to... Oh, I forgot. We have to do this. Anyway, to continue on from what Emma said, Romance languages all have the same branch because they all come from Latin, and the growth of the Roman Empire came from the diffusion of those said languages. All in Germanic Romance, Balto-Slavic, and Indo-Iranian, they all came from the Indo-European family. Linguists, whatever it's called, they all believed and accepted that all language branches came from a common ancestral language. However, they do not really have hard evidence, so they came up with two possible hypotheses, which will Justin explain.
Who are the first Proto-Indo-European speakers? Well, there are two hypotheses that may explain this. There is the nomadic warrior hypothesis and the sedentary farmer hypothesis. So, linguists don't really agree on which hypothesis is incorrect, but there is evidence for both. The first hypothesis, the nomadic warrior hypothesis, says that Kurgans were the first Proto-Indo-European speakers, and there is archaeological evidence that leads all the way back to 4300 BC. It is said that they were some of the first to be able to domesticate horses and cattle, and that they used horses to conquer most of South Asia. Now, the second hypothesis, the sedentary farmer hypothesis, is hypothesized that the first speakers of the Proto-Indo-European language were actually 2,000 years earlier than the Kurgans, and that where they lived was in East Anatolia. So these first speakers were able to spread the Proto-Indo-European language through agricultural practices rather than warfare. And so the more numerous and prosperous the speakers became due to them learning to grow their own food instead of hunting. Now, no matter what hypothesis you believe, the new languages emerged in the same way, and that is due to isolation of the Proto-Indo-European language once it spread across the earth.
So, Walmart is the devil.
Walmart is the devil.
I solely believe that Walmart is the devil.
Now we move on to the topic of dialects. First of all, what even is a dialect? A dialect is a difference of a language known by its unique vocab, spelling, and pronunciation. A big example of a dialect would be the English language. Yes, it is spoken in the US, but it also is a main language of the UK, and the dialect is known as British English. In British English, they pronounce things different than American English. The word mirror would be pronounced as mira.
Mira.
So there can also be regional dialects in the US. For example, in the South there may be more of a country dialect, while in the West there may be more of a beach dude dialect. And there are also dialects in the North and the East. So, and with different dialects, there may be different pronunciation of words or even just different words in general. For example, some places in the US may say soda while others say pop.
It can kind of be hard to distinguish between dialects and languages, especially when two languages sound alike. Take Spanish and Portuguese. They sound kind of alike, yet they're completely different languages. It's pretty much it for dialects.
Now, finally, we move on to why people preserve their local language. Reasons like this include language diversity and the global domination of English, which Emma will explain.
Multilingual states are the cause of language diversity, such as Belgium, Switzerland, and Nigeria.
Belgium is an example of a multilingual state because it has two different languages. Southern Belgium, such as Walloons speak French, and northern Belgium, such as Flemings, speak Flemish.
Switzerland has 4 major languages. German, it takes up 65% of the language population. French takes up 18%, Italian takes up 10%, and Romansh takes up 1%. And Nigeria has 527 distinctive languages.
Hi.
So,
Great. The power of Christ compels.
Isolation language had a big role in language diversity. Isolation language means a language that is not a part of a language family. An example of this would be Basque, which when they hid in the Pyrenees Mountains.
So, I'm here to speak about the extinct and the revived languages. One example of an extinct language is the Gothic language. We do not know much about it. And also, there are more extinct languages, which are most of the Native American languages, because of obvious reasons, and them having to be pushed out or made to speak like languages. In the very rare cases, some languages get revived, and an example of that would be Hebrew. The Hebrew language got revived by them making a dictionary with 4,000 new words, them making up new words in general, and them using this language for prayers.
English is a very dominant language around the world, and this is because it's a lingua franca, or an international language. Technology did a very good job at being able to diffuse the English language around the world. English is very integrated into other languages too, such as Spanish or Spanglish, and French and Franglish. Everything about languages, including the categorization of languages,
Like where they were originated and distributed.
What are example of dialects?
And where they were preserved.
Now, originally we wanted to do chapter 4, but however, an evil group stole it from us and decided to be little thieves, so therefore, we wish we could do this today.
Yeah, no.
without violence. We were glad we were able to do this chapter to prepare for the evil AP test that's going to make the AP students
You're like getting
become
out the camera.
extinct faster than the extinct languages. So, bye.